Welcome to IHIP News, where we share our opinion about the news that is important to us. And what I find rather important is the continued Republican cannibalism. They're on the Trump train when he's winning, and then they jump off and they have some moral clarity. And then they're back on, and then they're back off. These people have no backbone, no morals, no decency, no dignity. And this is highlighted by Nikki Haley's appearance on Fox News last night. Let's hear this.
Do you think that's not happening now? Do you think that this campaign is floundering on that point?
I want this campaign to win. But the campaign is not going to win talking about crowd sizes. It's not going to win talking about what race Kamala Harris is. It's not going to win talking about whether she's dumb. It's not, you can't win on those things. The American people are smart. Treat them like they're smart.
The only thing I take issue with on that is I do think the American people are smart. I think the MAGA sycophants are not very smart.
Okay, here's what I take issue with on that. This is not news.
No.
Donald Trump has been talking about crowd size. He talked about your race, Nikki Haley.
Yes.
He has been screaming since 2020 that he really won the election, despite evidence to the contrary in 60-something court cases that held up that Joe Biden beat his ass in the 2020 election. So the fact that she sits there and acts surprised that Donald Trump is being a titty baby is more than I can take. He's talked about race the moment he came down that escalator. He's talked about crowd size from the jump. We're talking about from the inauguration forward. This is all he's got. He doesn't have anything other than this bluster. But Nikki Haley was against him at first in 2016. And then she jumps on the Trump train, and then she jumps off the Trump train because she herself had presidential ambition. And now she's back on the Trump train, but she wants him to quit whining. Are you dumber than Trump?
Yeah, we've seen for 3 cycles, whining is his MO. Being a victim is his MO. I find it so damaging that the person that was running against him in the primary, that said straight up, he is unfit. That said, she had to bring him back when they were with the United Nations delegation because he either was ill-informed, didn't know, or didn't care. And now she's giving campaign advice. The only bright spot is he can't take campaign advice. His ego will not allow him to talk about the issues. His ego will only allow him to talk about how he's better, he's a victim.
It just amazes me that people that remain in the MAGA movement like her, that know better, doesn't have the decency to stand up against racism and against dangerous lies. They don't care. They literally only care about owning the libs. That's what the MAGA movement is. Let's own the libs. And within that, we get to destroy women's autonomy, LGBTQ plus rights, voting rights, DEI programs. This is a political movement about enacting pain onto its population. And what's so dangerous and insidious about it is they think they're doing this because they're warriors for God. This is insane. It is insane that she is shocked that he's behaving this way. It's insane that people that should know better do not stand up to this man. And Trump is Trump. The larger problem in America are these people. And she says the American people are smart. I think some of us are.
I do too.
I think a lot of people in this country are not. And I think a lot of them are wildly indoctrinated into Iron Age religion, where they believe that this man is a warrior for God. And I think it's dangerous. I think it's insane. And I think we need to embrace, as a country, secularism. Absolutely. The United States is not a Christian nation. It is a nation where you are free to practice whatever religion you want. And the Harris-Walz campaign has done an excellent job on the stump. Governor Walz has a saying where he says, we don't want people telling you who you can love, where you can live, what religion you have to worship. That's all that should be said from a politician regarding religion, is we're not going to tell you what religion you worship. Our government is completely separate from all of that. And we need to take that case to the American people, because the Catholics don't want to be Pentecostals and all of a sudden have to hold up rattlesnakes and tongue talk and do all that crazy shit. The evangelicals don't want to go to, do Hail Marys and all that crap. And I would think that they probably wouldn't want to go to a mosque and so on. So the only conversation regarding religion in this country from politicians needs to be, we are secular.
The separation of church and state is why the United States was founded. And I think something that you pointed out is they're morally bankrupt. The thirst for power has overtaken the North Star of what's best for the American people. How can we move the country forward? And it's gone straight to moral depravity and cruelty. And it's stark, the contrast between this camp, the Republican side and the Democratic side.
Let me ask you this. Do you think it's a thirst for power, or do you think it's a thirst for control?
Do they have to be mutually exclusive?
No.
I think it's both. I think they want to enshrine the patriarchy in such a way that there's not even any mention that there might be women that have as much power as men, or Black and brown people might have as much power as white men, Christian men. So the control is a way to gain the power.
Or they want the power so they can control.
Right. I mean, either way.
Right. It's when you think of Project 2025 and you think of how enmeshed the Trump MAGA movement and all of his campaign, Trump himself, his vice presidential candidate, they're, flying around on PJs together and all this stuff, writing in each other's books, doing instructional videos. It is such a dangerous post-constitutional America that they envision.
Yes.
And for the Nikki Haley's and the childless cat lady, Lindsey Graham, and all these people that know better out there campaigning for Donald Trump, I think they're worse. Because Donald Trump is mentally ill and breathtakingly predictable. It's the people that know better that continually support him. But here's something I got kind of tickled at. So, he's trying to send out, all of his little warriors on social media and on the right-wing Fox News, Newsmax, and all this stuff to spin things for him. And I think there's never been a better spinner for Trump than Kellyanne Conway.
Agree.
Listen, I don't like her and I don't agree with anything she says, but even she is having a very difficult time spinning for Trump. And here's what she said.
And our fears are real. That left to her own devices, Kamala Harris is just one big old blind date. And everybody's making her whatever they need her to be. She's so good looking. She's so smart. She's so wealthy. She's so funny. She's close to her mom. She goes on really cool vacation. She'll never break your heart. Everybody's making her what they need her to be.
Somebody on Twitter retweeted that and put, I'm Kamala Harris and I approve this message.
Everybody's defining her in the way she wants to be.
She's pretty, she's cool, she's popular, she takes cool trips, she has a close relationship with her mom. Kellyanne, I think what you're saying is she's sane,
right?
She's smart, and she's relatable.
Absolutely. And guess what? She actually has a vision for the future and is not relitigating shit that's happened years ago. And she's talking about we the people instead of me, myself, Donald Trump. And I think it's refreshing. And I thank you, Kellyanne.
I saw this article in the Daily Mail, which is, super conservative and nutty and tabloid-esque. But anyway, sometimes I go over there to see what's going on. And they're like, Donald Trump's advisors are worried that he's talking to fringe lunatics in his spare time. And I'm like, are you kidding me? He hung out with the MyPillow guy the last 5 months of his administration, and Rudy Giuliani and that Kraken lawyer. The fact that they act like he's just somehow off message or somehow just now hanging out with crazy people is really breathtaking.
Right. This is no surprise. This is how it's always been. I mean, he had Nick Fuentes, the biggest racial bigot of our time that completely is just absolutely a despicable person. He had him at lunch with he and Kanye West. Like, this is no surprise. He hangs out with bottom feeders. Do you know why he hangs out with bottom feeders? Because he, too, is a bottom feeder.
Yeah, it's the fact that they're seeing for the first time what we've been seeing all along is refreshing. But I have to tell you, I've been kind of in this, oh my gosh, Kamala, this is fantastic. I feel the momentum. And then the trauma and the PTSD of 2016 hits me. And it hits me like a ton of bricks. And I think, oh my gosh, we have to do everything in our power to ensure that she gets to 270 electoral votes. And then I get so mad that the Republican Party has a way to skirt the system with this antiquated electoral college system. It is the laughingstock of all first world democracies that we have such an archaic, ridiculous way of voting that a handful of states can determine the entire world order. It just makes me so mad.
I think it's so antiquated too. We don't need it anymore. And the fact that a Democratic candidate has to win 2 or 3 percentage points higher than what a Republican has to win because of the Electoral College is just blatantly unfair.
All right. And continuing on this path of Republicans realizing that Donald Trump is a sinking ship. Some of them are still hanging on, like Nikki Haley, but some of them have found real moral clarity. And this is is he former?
Former Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan from Georgia.
Let's hear what he has to say.
I watched decisions be made behind the curtain by Donald Trump. I watched a cult be birthed, and I watched followers just walk off the deep end of the plank for Donald Trump. And so as this started to play out, not just in 2020, but even before, right? We got to see Donald Trump put pressure on us for how we reacted to COVID here against Governor Kemp and myself and several others in decisions that we were making. So I could kind of see this train wreck coming, but would have never have guessed it would have gotten as bad as it got in 2020 with the election. Look, I just want my party back, right? Selfishly speaking, I'm supporting Kamala Harris because I think she's a steadier hand than Donald Trump will ever be.
My response to Jeff Duncan is it's not just Jeff Duncan. Vice President Mike Pence, who served under Donald Trump, will not support him. 20 of the 42 cabinet members and counting have said not only will we not support Donald Trump, we are now supporting Kamala Harris because they've seen behind the curtain. They know how this man operates. That is unprecedented in history, and people need to take a look at that. The people that are closest to him with any sense have said, no, we are supporting Kamala Harris.
I also think that that's one thing that people need to look at. But I think the Democrats and the progressive movement need to take the case of progressive values to the American electorate as a moral calling. We support helping everybody. We support collectivism. We don't like to demean people that might be on welfare or need government assistance or need health care, or we don't think it's right to meddle in a young woman's life that has an ectopic pregnancy, and in order for her to receive abortion care, which is the surgery required for an ectopic pregnancy, that she would have to talk to lawyers, and then she would have to talk to, the doctors would have to talk to lawyers. All of the Republicans that you mentioned that won't support him, even Liz Cheney, they have all said and repeated massive lies that the Democratic Party supports post-birth abortions. So these people are still whacked out beyond all recognition and traffic in very dangerous lies, and yet they still don't support him.
Right.
So that's something the Republicans can worry about, fixing, kind of like I say, the Christians need to worry about these Christian nationalists. That's something within their whole movement. The Republicans can worry about that. In the interim, We need to play a decades-long, long game, taking the moral case for progressive values and democracy and the longevity that that's going to have. And all the nuts can figure out all their nuttery and how they supported Donald Trump and all the spiritual warfare and all that crazy ass shit that they all talk about. Meanwhile, we can talk about how are the best ways that government can function and help people and have an active, robust democracy that can grow and improve each year into decades and on and on.
I completely agree.
Okay, make sure you have subscribed to IHIP News on all podcast platforms. We have 2 podcasts, I've Had It, and the daily drops Monday through Friday of IHIP News. Please go subscribe, write a review, and stick with us for more hot takes.
It's so